No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms, including Mastodon. We don't know what it is, but we're on it. Welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Alongside Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Ezra Ginsburg away from the program tonight. We wish him the best in his ongoing battle with Legionnaire's disease. Legionnaire's disease for Ginsburg this time. I again, much like Mastodon, I don't know what that is, but apparently that is what Ezzy's ailment is tonight. So we wish him well, and hopefully he'll be back for Saturday's show, 9 a.m., the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Dave M., good morning, good evening, more accurately. How are you? Nice to see you. World not quite ending just yet, despite what Twitter might have you believe. We're still here. As long as the YouTube channel and as long as the website is still ticking, then we're still on licking.
That's true,
like
Drew.
That.
Doesn't matter. I understood what you meant.
I give up.
No, it's all good. I understood what you meant. I think everybody in the chat understood what you meant. And you are right. I was joking. I said, well, you know what? If this is the end of Twitter, don't worry, folks, because illegalcurve.com, every day, Jets, Moose, Ice News, and of course, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, the Illegal Curve Post-Game Show. We're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter. We're like cockroaches. It doesn't matter. Social media, those apps, they're fair weather. We were here before Twitter. We'll be here after Twitter. It doesn't matter. .com doesn't go anywhere as long as I keep paying that bill, and the YouTube channel, as long as YouTube keeps paying their bills, isn't going anywhere. So we're good. We'll be here for a long time. We've still got a good Instagram account. We've been building up our Facebook, which is funny. I didn't really use it a lot before, but we're using that a little bit more. So, and we'll just have to hope that Twitter is no longer. It will somehow survive. I jokingly said, you know, I can't wait for everybody to be like, well, we talked about it dying yesterday, and yet it's still here. And yet, if it dies tomorrow, nobody will be able to call me out on my tweet because, of course, it will be dead. So we had some fun with that. But the reality is, I agree, Jay Miller. I see as a cockroach. That's why I said it. But we did survive. I think Ezzy's still on MySpace for the record, but anyways,
still trying to make some friends there, but he's struggling there a bit.
ICQ, we've got them all. We'll chat on everything.
IRC, I think IRC for a while.
For sure.
We'll go back to MSN Messenger, AOL chat, whatever else might have existed in the past. I'm sure what was once old will be new again, and IC will still be there no matter what. We say good evening to all of our friends joining us in the chat room on this. What is it? It's a Thursday night. It's been so long between games, such a weird schedule. I know. My whole body clock is a little screwy, although pretty much from here on out, I know it's every second day, at least through the new year. So
by the way, Matthew Thompson with a good reference. GeoCities, old school. I like
GeoCities. Wow. Yeah. I think
got a couple of GeoCities websites back in the day. No big deal.
I think they're pretty sure the first version of the Illegal Curve website was built on a GeoCities platform, if I remember. It might correctly.
That was like blogs.
It was Blogspot,
I think. Yeah, actually.
Illegalcurve.blogspot.com if you want to
still up actually.
Really? You can still go there?
Yeah, you can still go there.
I'm not sure what you want to find. Well, I'll tell you what. Do you remember what the first post about was ever on?
I do.
.blogspot.com?
It's funny. I do, but I can't off the top of my head. I can't remember.
I think it was Mark Bell. Was that the guy's name? I think he played for the Leafs and I think the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
getting suspended. I want to say for steroid use or something really bizarre.
I see it was edgy back then. We were much more edgy back then.
No, it was like that was just the news. That was the news of the day. There were no Jets. There was no inkling of the Jets at that point in time. So it was it was way long ago.
2007. We were like Billy Mumphries, cockeyed young optimists.
In any event, yes, let's there was going back to 2007, the Jets went back in time a little bit themselves tonight with the Hall of Fame game, a great ceremony before honoring Teppo, honoring Timu, all their accomplishments as members of the Winnipeg Jets. Great to see both of them in the building tonight. I mean, by the way, both of them look like you could just play still.
Yeah, I know. That's been a consistent. Well, Teppo Newman in this, because Timu, of course, we're more familiar with obviously when he played here in Winnipeg, and we see him from time to time.
Cheer game, the boo, yay,
right?
Boo,
well,
that
game will still go down as one of the best
fun
games
ones,
that we've been personally. But there's no question about it that Tempo Newman is the one that we don't see as often, here in Winnipeg. And, he was having fun with it today at the media availability after morning availability when he spoke, and he talked about how he was driving through River Heights trying to find his old house, but he couldn't recognize it because it had been painted since he last was here, obviously so many years ago. And then, of course, the best line of that little media availability was Teemu piped in. He goes, "Well, did you show you?" And Tempo was talking about showing his family Winnipeg and what it meant to him. And then Teemu chimes in, "Did you show them the Palomino Club?" Which, again, you gotta love the fact that Slani drops the Palomino Club reference like every single time he's talking about Winnipeg, because everybody in Winnipeg knows what he's talking about, and it's such a good discussion point. And you just love the fact that he knows the city well. I mean, it's a different sort of atmosphere, right? The different sort of level of connectivity, I should say, to the city that players have now. I'm not saying players don't have sort of their spots that they go to, but I don't think it's to that same degree as what it was.
It certainly isn't, because of social media, and there'd be pictures flying immediately if they were out. And also, you remember back in the day, of course, they flew commercial.
Right.
The visiting team would stay in Winnipeg. The game would end. The visiting team would all head to the Palomino. They'd fly out the next day. There were no private jets. I remember being a kid, and I don't remember. I think we were flying to Los Angeles, and we had to fly through Calgary. And the Flames were on the same plane that I was flying on, I think, with my dad. I think we were going to a family event or something. And I remember Theo Fleury, balling up a piece of paper, and he tried to throw it at another Flames player. I can't remember who he tried to throw it at, but he missed the guy, and he hit me in the leg. And he said, "Sorry, kid." And I'm like, "Oh my God, Theo Fleury's talking to me." Whatever.
Theo Fleury, who, by the way, may or may not, I'll never forget. My dad and I would drive home from Jets games. I think it was Fleury, and whenever you hear a media availability, I got to think that it was Theo Fleury who was. We counted the most we'd ever heard in an interview in the history. My dad used to focus on that. He'd be like, "How many times do you think he'll say, And I'm like, "I don't know, Dad. Let's count." And like I think it was Fleury was doing an interview, and it was just like, I was like, okay, all right,
well,
got it.
Not much has changed. In that case, it still is a pretty good crutch for players to use as they're trying to work their way through the interviews, and that's okay. Everybody's got their strengths, and everyone's got their weaknesses in the course of life, and that might be one for NHL players. The reliance on In any event,
for sure.
Dave,
before we get into the game, though, let's just keep rolling a little bit on the nostalgia train here, because there are a couple. We can't just gloss over. You're right.
Got to give some good stuff.
There's some really good stuff. First of all, the fact that they brought Jennifer Hansen back to do the anthem. It's not the first time they've done that.
She's at the Bomber games all the time.
No, I know. I was going to say, but it's first of all, it's very interesting that Jennifer Hansen moved from Winnipeg to Atlanta, and now she's back in Winnipeg. But the point is that she was obviously the Jets 1.0 anthem singer that so many folks knew. So, and she's done it again before here in Winnipeg. But at the same time, nice to see her bring back. And then, all the nostalgia, guys wearing like Finnish jerseys, which with signs saying, "Look, we haven't watched these since '93," or old school Jet stuff, or just even the banner. And again, I jokingly said, the Mike Bossy banner, whether it was the real one or I don't think it was the real one, but the fact is that it was nice attempts at nostalgia. And look, they brought in Patty Elenek and Randy Gillen and Thomas Steen. Big cheers for Thomas Steen in the building. I don't know if that was broadcast the entire thing, but big cheers for Thomas Steen when he was announced, and huge cheers for Tempo and Teemu. And we got a nice picture on the on our Illegal Curve Instagram page taken by our photographer Alex James, who was at the game for us today, and a really nice shot of Teemu and Tempo, because they've talked about the brotherhood they've experienced, and Teemu said that Tempo was like an older brother to him, and it was nice to see the two of them like arm in arm as the banner unfolded and it was revealed and stuff like that. So if you go check the Illegal Curve Instagram page, you'll see that picture that's up there. So I don't know. It was just very cool. There was a lot of, obviously Benny and the Jets was in the building, and it created a good atmosphere. I think fans were into it, and it didn't feel like a random Thursday night against the Ducks. It felt like the atmosphere in the building was exciting, and there was a lot of excitement from folks who were just, like I said, I said this to Carter, who was sitting, Carter Brooks from Game On Magazine, who was sitting beside me. I said, hearing Kirk Keelback's voice, and we had him on the show, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, a few Saturdays ago, but when you hear Kirk Keelback's voice and you're in the arena, it's funny. Like I've heard him call that Slaney goal a million times, but just
we all have. But
there's something, yeah, of course, but there's something different about hearing Kirk Keelback's voice. And honestly, like as everyone who was on the show listened, they heard him say, well, I got him to do the Essence of Great Save Essence, which was awesome. But just to hear the Solani scores, I mean, it was a really good sort of tribute to the Jets 1.0 era by this Jets version. So I like the connectivity. And again, I thought it was well done from inside the building.
Yeah, well said. You were inside the building, and it was well done. And it's taken them, as we've touched on, and as other people have touched on, it's taken them, a decade or at least half a decade to really want to make the connectivity between Jets 1.0 and Jets 2.0. They did seem to want to establish their own self before reaching back to the previous generation. I think a lot of people maybe had a little bit of resentment regarding that, and now at least they're doing it. I mean, some would say it's a cynical, play for a little bit of nostalgia or a little bit of, trying to get back on the fan side. But whatever it is good that they're trying to make that connectivity and trying to make those links between 1.0 and 2.0 more apparent to everyone. But there was a hockey game in tonight's game as well, and the Jets obviously 3-2 victors tonight over the Anaheim Ducks. They improved to 10-4-1 on the season with the win, Dave M. And this is not a game, and we're going to get into it, and we'll go we will go goal by goal. Easy for me to say. It's not going to go down into a museum or anything. I don't think anyone's going to be clamoring to rewatch this hockey game. It was not very pleasant aesthetically. For Jets fans, obviously the final scoreboard shot looks nice, but this was an ugly hockey game. Neither team really stood out. The Jets are certainly not going to apologize for taking the 2 points, but not a lot to like outside of the performance of obviously Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, that Sam Gagner now on that top line, but more just sort of blah regarding the game than anything you're going to write home about. And the Jets know that they probably are a little bit fortunate to have been playing the opponent they played in the Anaheim Ducks, not a very good team, in fact, a very bad team, but they get the 2 points nonetheless. Yeah,
in preparing for the game in general, I was doing obviously the pregame report for LegalCurve.com this morning, or yesterday / this morning, and I was shocked to see that the Jets have given up the least number of goals in the NHL. Yeah. And they've played a few less games in Boston, but at 33 now, obviously a few more. But the fact is, that was not a number I was expecting. And then at the other end of the spectrum, literally, where the Anaheim Ducks was 70 goals against. So you were expecting maybe a bit of an open game for Winnipeg, but what was going against them? Well, they had a bit of a sleepy, dopey start to the last game where they had a 3-day break between games. Yeah. And maybe they, and that's all they talked about. Head coach Rick Bowness said, well, we've got to be on our toes, not on our heels. Cause then, and it looked like they had the message because early on they had good pressure. Early on, they had a 5-1 shot edge. So you're thinking, okay. And Gibson was good. So you're thinking, okay, the Jets they've got the message. They had a better start. So it's not going to be what happened to them the last time they had one of these little layoffs. And yet all of a sudden the Ducks come and start pushing back. And suddenly now the first period is looking very different for Winnipeg because now they are back on their heels. Now they are kind of getting hemmed in their zone. Now they are making some, again, not very crisp, sloppy passes to each other. And really they're killing their momentum in any zone. Really, they just weren't able to get it going on because you just would pass her in the skates. There was just nothing that was consistent about the Jets early or throughout the course of that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, you accept that there's going to be a little bit of a lull, but you wonder, had Pierre-Luc Dubois scored what looked like into a wide open net within those first 5 minutes, how does that change the tenor of the rest of the game? Well, obviously that's something we won't know because it seemed like he had a golden opportunity there. But really, for a lot of tonight's game, for the majority of tonight's game, it wasn't crisp. It was Anaheim, to me, was almost the quicker of the two teams on the pucks. They were, more effective with their gaps than I thought the Jets were, throughout the game. And again, I'm saying all this at the same time the Jets won tonight. So last year, 2 years ago, I would be saying all this and the Jets would have lost by decidedly. They would have lost by a significant margin. It would not have been a close game. So that tells you that there is a little bit something different about this team than previous teams. They're finding ways to win games where they really aren't looking their best. They're not even looking their average. This was a below average game, I thought, for the Winnipeg Jets, but they didn't chase the game. They stayed with it. And it's that part that I think, Rick Bowness and the coaching staff will probably make a mention of at some point in time, that they're finding, that they don't have to alter their approach even when the results aren't great for a lot of the game. It will come eventually if you stick with it. And that's, I think, what you saw tonight. And let's be honest, this Winnipeg Jets team, the forward group, is nothing to write home about with all the injuries.
Right. Bless you.
Excuse me. Yes.
It's time for you to mute yourself. Looks like it's the time for the Dave Minuk experience, folks. I'm not going to make this about the Moose, but we should mention that Ville Heinola was recalled before the game. And that was a bit of a surprise. We didn't know that where the Jets were going to go. They did have an open roster spot because we expected, of course, Mason Appleton, who was put on IR, of course, with the wrist surgery. So he's going to be gone for 8 to 12 weeks. Probably should have mentioned that to start the show, Drew, because of course that's a big loss for the Jets and Mason Appleton, because it's about the depth, right? And so you knew that the Jets had the opportunity to make a recall. The Moose, of course, heading out on the road for 5 games to starting in Texas tomorrow night. So if the Jets were going to make a recall, they were going to do it today. And then, of course, the conventional wisdom was it would be a forward potentially, because they were only going to have one guy on forward. And because Logan Stanley, remember, was injured on November 1st, or no, not on November 1st, but on November 1st, it was revealed that he had a slight foot fracture, and it was said 2 weeks was his timeline. Well, we're past 2 weeks now. Oddly enough, no mention of Logan Stanley in the last couple of media availabilities. And what ended up happening is that you're thinking, okay, well, so you've got 6 defensemen, because obviously Dylan DeMello didn't skate two practices ago, but did skate yesterday. And then, of course, he's kind of questionable, but you've got Capobianco. What are they going to do? So anyways, they ended up, and then the thought was, well, if Logan Stanley's ready to go, maybe he'll be the 7th guy. And then in the end, you have to, Drew, I'm trying to fill the space right now.
I can talk.
I can't stop the thought. I mean, the thought's still there, Drew. I got to finish the thought. It's not going to look very good if I'm just kind of like, okay, well, you can go now, and I'm not going to finish what I'm saying. So I got to finish what I'm saying.
I know.
I'm just going to say, so Ville Heinola ends up getting recalled.
Yeah.
And, the question was, who was the player? Of course, when warm-up skate began, Dylan DeMello wasn't on the ice. So Dylan DeMello didn't play. Ville Heinola didn't skate, didn't dress up in warm-up, and neither did Jansen Harkins. So there we go. I'm kind of going back in time, Drew, but that's part of the preamble that probably should have been mentioned by one of us.
So well done. Thank you for mentioning it. Hopefully I've got the sneezes out of my system.
Go ahead.
My friends in the chat are beaking me because I love you all very much, but I appreciate it. The reason I'm using toilet paper instead of Kleenex is I'm sure that the day I decided, hey, I should have something close to me as I do these broadcasts, we didn't have any Kleenex in the house. I'm sure there was nothing more complicated. I do now have a box of Kleenex that I could exchange the toilet paper for. So I think Jason said that I should have a hanky sponsorship. By all means, I'm willing. There you go. We need a hanky commercial. That's what as other people are saying. By all means, people, bring it on. I'm willing to sponsor. If there's a hanky company that wants to sponsor my sneezes, by all means. I have allergies. I tend to get a little sniffle every now and then. I appreciate it, folks. You're all helping me out, as you always do, each and every post-game show. And, of course, each and every Saturday morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. But, yes, Dave, you talked about the injury situation, and I'm sure people were upset or wondering why it was why it wasn't Ville Heinola and why it was Kyle Capobianco in the lineup for the Jets instead. You're not going to throw Ville Heinola right into the lineup without him at least having a practice with some of these guys. And today's practice wasn't optional. It's a game day skate, so it's not a full practice. If it's something more significant, I would not be, or if that keeps Dylan DeMello out of the lineup for, maybe not, he doesn't play Saturday, maybe he doesn't play Monday. If it's something more significant, I would expect Ville Heinola to get in the lineup, in place of Capo Bianco, maybe. But you're just not going to immediately throw a guy in there.
The only advantage to Capo Bianco is he plays the right side.
Right. You're just not going to throw. You're not going to throw a guy. And I know Heinola's. He's been playing. They were trying him on the offside.
I don't know why people keep. I know he's played some right side in Finland, but he really didn't. He didn't play the right side for the Moose. He never does. He almost always plays the left side. So that's a bit of a myth that kind of people like. Well, he can play the right side. I'm like, he doesn't really do it with the Moose, and he plays the majority of his time here in North America with the Manitoba Moose. And I watch those games, and I'm telling you, he plays on the left side most of those times. So
you would know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to be Ville Heinola for tonight. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll bring you the latest on illegalcurve.com. We'll bring you the latest Saturday morning on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show because the Jets are in action Saturday night. The Pittsburgh Penguins, always a little bit of an extra buzz when Crosby comes to town, maybe Malkin too for that matter. So that'll be a fun one on Saturday, and we'll bring you all the latest on it. But that's, what the Jets are facing. And you look at their forward group and, look, Scheifele and Connor and Sam Gagner were terrific tonight. They were the Jets' 3 best forwards in my estimation. But after that, Dubois had his moments, and he was certainly noticeable. You saw his,
drew a couple penalties.
Yeah, he drew a couple penalties. He,
swung his stick, looked like he was going to try and decapitate Carrick.
You noticed them. He didn't swing it at his head, but obviously his interaction with Carrick is what led to the Dylan and Carrick fight. So you notice Pierre-Luc Dubois, but really the Jets are really going deep into their, into the depths of their forward group without Mason Appleton. Nikolai Ehlers, well, it certainly doesn't sound promising, given that a lot of people were so hoping to see him on the ice, today after he skated the last couple days, and then seems like it's just plateaued again, or maybe
Drew, you might want to go to the website and read those quotes to the folks.
Well, I read them. Yeah.
No, I know you've read them, and I would hope that most people have gone on illegalcurve.com and read them themselves.
Yeah.
But
it's
to
ominous.
me, that was the word I used, was ominous. Yeah. I heard head coach Rick Bowness talking about it today in the media availability when asked, and he tried to weeb and bob away from the question by John Liu, and then Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Sun kind of pressed him a little bit further, and you go ahead and read it and let people hear what the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets had to say about Nikolai Ehlers.
So Rick Bowness was asked, as Dave said, here's the quote, "That's a good question. He obviously didn't skate today, and we're going to have to make a call here eventually, very soon here, what we're going to do with him." Followed up, as you mentioned, by Scotty Billick. And here's the further quote, "Nothing's off the table with Nikolai right now. That's a decision that other people will make. Right now, as we speak, we're not there. I know I'm talking around the question, but I can't give you the definitive answer on that. I can't." And that was regarding if surgery was now going to be a consideration. Mm-hmm. Well, when you don't say no to the question of is surgery a consideration, that should tell you where you're at. They were giving it time to heal on its own with rehab and with.
Remember, this was day to day.
Yeah, this was day to day with rehab and with whatever sort of techniques are used. I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor, despite having a T-shirt that says "I'm not a doctor, but I'll take a look." But it's clear that whatever the ailment is, lower body injury, and there's been a lot of speculation that it's something groin related, that it's not healing as well as anybody would have hoped. I'm sure Nikolai Ehlers included in that. So where does that leave the Winnipeg Jets for the next indeterminate period of time? That's a good question, because their forward group, no Mason Appleton, we know he's out, for a number of weeks. Nikolai Ehlers doesn't seem like it's anytime soon. You're getting real thin up front. And how do you fix that? Do you just sort of duct tape it together, scotch tape it together, or do you go out and do you try and make an acquisition? Do you try and use maybe a bit of the surplus of defense that you allegedly have? And because we know the defensemen are at a premium throughout the league. Do you try and do something like that? Or does that just create a weakness on your back end? Then maybe you'll be in the market for a defenseman as a result of doing that. I don't know the answer to that, but it's certainly something that we'll discuss And it's going to be a topic of conversation over the next 24, 48, 72 hours until more certainty comes regarding the status of Nikolai Ehlers, Dave.
No, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And that's, to me, again, you were thinking, and like I said, it's also Dylan DeMello, right? I mean, you've got, that's why, I mean, you say you want to trade. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people are saying, you suggest, oh, you've got a surplus. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Moose had to make a recall today because, they lost Ville Heinola up to the Jets. And
this is where the loss of Kovacevic for nothing really is, I think, is sort of more apparent. The Jets haven't necessarily missed him on the ice.
Right, of
when
course.
you cut into that depth just a little bit more, you don't necessarily have the depth that you thought you had at the start of the season.
No, of course not. I mean, think about it. He was just, we saw the tweets yesterday, right? Like that he was told to get a house in Montreal. He's not going anywhere. He's not going back on waivers. They like him in Montreal. They want him to feel like he's, established himself as a, an everyday NHLer on the Montreal Canadiens. So good for him. But yeah, you're right, Drew, that it was a big loss of depth and especially on the right side. And now Dylan DeMello, uncertain as to what his status is. Logan Stanley, again, don't know. That was a slight foot fracture, November 1st-ish, end of October, November 1st, he goes on IR. It's supposed to be 2 weeks. Nothing being said about him. Mason Appleton, Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, it's a laundry list. Now, people would point out, and they would be right, that you have a lot of depth on the Manitoba Moose. And you have guys who are ready to come up and fill those role player roles if they need to. And that's, and look, you've got D who are ready to go, and Ville Heinola is ready. He played his best game with the Manitoba Moose last game in their win against the Calgary Wranglers. And then you've got Declan Chisholm, who actually was hurt in that game, didn't come back after the first intermission, did practice this week. He'll be on the trip with the Moose, but you've got a couple of young guys on the left side who are ready. And of course, Simon Lundmark on the right side. And he'll, I'm not going to mention T. Kona Pauli's number one guy, Tyrell Bauer, because he's still getting his feet wet at the pro hockey level. But there are some nice prospects to get excited about. Most specifically, Henry Nikkanen, guys. Just remember, I keep talking about the 2019 fourth rounder. He had his best game in my mind by far. I don't want to make this a Manuk Moose minute, so I'm not going to. But just remember him throughout the course of the year.
Let's get into the recap from tonight's game, a 3-2 Winnipeg Jets victory. Kyle Connor obviously leading the way, getting all 3 goals for the Winnipeg Jets. The Betway game recap is brought to you, as Dave M is modeling so very well, by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Not sure our friends at Betway like me so much right now. I've taken some money from them the last 24, 48, 72 hours on some college football bets. For more information, you can check out my Twitter feed, assuming it hasn't collapsed since the show began, at IC Drew. Apparently, my calling in life is to bet on MAC football game. MAC Conference, the Mid-American Conference college football games that take place on Tuesday and Wednesday nights in November. And
you're like that. You're like that guy who bets on you're sitting there with the horse. There's no horse races going on, and you're the guy who's like in the corner watching like something that's going on in like Tokyo or something like that. You're like, okay, come on, let's go.
The game last night that I was watching, Dave, was taking place in the most ridiculous snowstorm I've ever seen a football game get played.
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
It was just terrific. But anyways, profitable and terrific. The Anaheim Ducks opened the scoring at the 10-17 mark of the first period. Troy Terry, his 7th of the year assist to Cam Fowler and Sam Carrick, giving the Ducks a well-earned 1-0 lead to start. A lot of traffic in front of Connor Hellebuck. Get the shot through. Good things are going to happen. Delayed penalty was happening on this case, so it was a 6-on-5, and the Jets were on their heels. And Anaheim was really sort of controlling the flow of the play at this point. After the Jets were the better of the two teams through the first 5 minutes, Anaheim began to take over for really a lot of the rest of that first period, and they get justly rewarded with Troy Terry getting his 7th of the season.
Yeah, a little 6-on-5 action, Drew, because Neil Pionk was going to get hit with a interference penalty.
Yeah.
Except, of course, Anaheim was able to maintain possession and create some opportunity for themselves. So, you know what, they, as you had said, one of the things we noticed throughout the course of that game was the Ducks seemed to be building. And, you know, they obviously come into Winnipeg having defeated the Detroit Red Wings in overtime their last game. And even though, like I said, things aren't going well for them and they're not a particularly good road team or home team, but, you know, they do have some talent. They do have some good young talent. And they have guys who can skate and they have guys who can score, as we saw throughout the game. So, you know, it was an unusual sequence because the Jets didn't feel like they were, you know, able to withstand, but they weren't being dominated, but the Ducks had possession of the puck, but it wasn't as if they were just killing the Jets, but you still started to feel the tide turning a little bit, right? And the crowd was into it because they were, again, loving the nostalgia element of it, but they weren't exactly loving the hockey game element of it, because at certain points I would look to my right or left or whoever I was talking to, and they're like, this is a hard game to write about. There is not much happening in the first couple of periods. So you're kind of like, okay, like what's going on here? So, and I think if you're Anaheim, that's kind of a game you want to play because you don't really have the talent to run and gun. You don't have the talent to really sustain a lot. So you're going to just let your young guys run it a little bit and hope that they can create something and then, you know, score 1, 2, 3 goals and try and sit on that. But so for them, it was a good start to the game. Especially, it was kind of a continuation of what they had initiated after they withstood the initial barrage by Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you know, the Ducks are not going to be fancy. They're not. They have some talented players, but they're really a mishmash. Everyone knows, you know, that they're not going to be.
I was disappointed, Drew. There wasn't a Nathan Beaulieu, even though he was a healthy scratch, tribute video.
Yeah, I'm sure that was heartbreaking for everybody involved. I thought they should have done another one for Dmitry Kulikov just to really reaffirm it.
Yes.
You know, you look at that Ducks team, and boy, there's some players there. You're naming some guys that you really didn't expect to name over the course of the game. But in any event, they were leading 1-0 after 20 minutes. Not a great 20 minutes as we've talked about. The Jets get on the scoreboard at the 12:32 mark of the second period. Kyle Connor gets the goal. Dmitry Kulikov, the aforementioned Dmitry Kulikov, is sitting in the box for high sticking, and Kyle Connor gets his third of the year assist to Pierre-Luc Dubois and Josh Morrissey. Morrissey, of course, gets an assist because that's all Josh Morrissey does. And Pierre-Luc Dubois is causing havoc because that's what Pierre-Luc Dubois does. But it's, you know, it's drive hard, it's collect a rebound, because it looked there for a while that John Gibson, nothing was going to go by him easily because he was really dialed in for a lot of the game. Throughout the game, he was dialed in a lot for the Jets, and you had to get bodies in front to really make things happen. Yeah,
and for a few minutes, it looked like there was some thought that the Ducks would challenge for goalie interference. I didn't think so. Initial blush, I was kind of like, it didn't seem to me like Pierre-Luc Dubois seemed like it was on the outside of the blue paint, and I didn't think that he was interfering with Gibson. And of course, they chose not to challenge it. But you know, Drew, you knew that it felt like the dam was going to burst for Kyle Connor. It really did. And like I was joking around before talking to the guys in the press box, and it did feel like today's a game that Kyle Connor can have a breakout. Today, I don't remember if I had said a hat trick. You know, now Carter's saying that he said it, not me. But regardless of what the tape says, although I tweeted it, so I mean maybe mine counts more than his if Twitter's still around. But the reality is, it felt like it was a game that Kyle Connor could break out in, and you know, him scoring on that, it was funny because I posted on our Instagram and someone put, yeah, and it's his first 5-on-5 goal. I'm like, actually it was a 5-on-4, but regardless, he's a goal scorer, and something like that could get him going. And that's kind of what you knew that the Jets were hoping would happen, was that Kyle Connor would start to feel, you know, good about his game, and he's getting chances, right? Even in the first period, he had a couple of chances in front of the net and Gibson made saves, but still the one thing the Jets are doing a lot of still, they're missing the net. And we saw it on the power play earlier, where you're watching these chances and they had great possession. They had great control. The cycle was excellent, but then they'd shoot it wide. And then of course it goes like Mark Scheifele blasted one, rims the boards, and it's out of the zone. Right. So there was some power play still got a work in progress, but when you have Kyle Connor, and again, credit Pierre-Luc Dubois. First of all, he's drawing penalties, but more importantly, he's doing what he needs to do, which is being big, strong, tough in front of the net. And he's creating chaos. And through that chaos, Kyle Connor can find that loose puck without, again, Anaheim short a man, and he puts into the back of net, and there's no question about it. And suddenly now the crowd is alive. Everybody's excited. Kyle Connor's feeling good. Crowd's feeling good.
Yeah, exactly right. And then so it's 1-0 for the Winnipeg. Pardon me, 1-1 after 40 minutes, and it's again, it's coming in spurts for the Jets. They had that great shift where John Klingberg got caught on the ice for something like 3 minutes and 42 seconds. I mean, you don't see guys getting caught on the ice for 3:42 in a shift. I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of time. People don't play beer league shifts for 3 minutes and 42 seconds, but that's how long Klingberg was caught out there. So there were times you could see the Jets were just sort of, we're working it and trying to get sort of that flow into it, and it came in spurts and stop and start throughout the course of the game, and that was a good sort of spurt for the Jets, and they certainly have to be feeling good about themselves after Kyle Connor tied it up at 1-1. But John Gibson really was a key component for the Anaheim Ducks, which, I mean, can you imagine this Anaheim Ducks team if they don't have John Gibson? I know Gibson's numbers look terrible, but anybody who watches the Anaheim Ducks know that John Gibson is not the problem on that team. John Gibson is, think about how much worse it would be. Hard to believe it could be any worse, but John Gibson is still a very good NHL goaltender playing in front of a very poor team. Kyle Connor, speaking of him, his second of the game, his fourth of the season. This one was his first 5-on-5 goal of the season. It was his fourth of the year. Assist to Sam Gagner and Mark Scheifele. This comes at the 14-15 mark of the third period when there's only, just over, 5.5 minutes to go in the game. This is a big goal. It gives the Jets the 1-goal lead, and you think, okay, maybe they can exhale a little bit after Connor gets this one, Dave. Just good hard work by everyone involved, low to high sort of play. Resulting in Connor. I mean, you get Connor alone in the slot, dangerous things are going to happen. And this was another instance of that.
Yeah, the 350th assist of Mark Scheifele's career. So he's, again, it's amazing. He's already approaching, I think, 590 points. He's approaching 600 points in his career. How did Mark Scheifele already get to 600? That seems insane. But
we haven't aged at all, so I don't know. No. I don't know about any of this.
Exactly.
That's suspicious if you ask me.
But again, as soon as Kyle Connor starts to get one, and now he's getting a second one, and it's not an empty net goal, and it's not 3-on-3. I mean, he's feeling that's what he needs to do, because again, like I said, and we've outlined it, Kyle Connor is as good a passer as he is a shooter, and his totals show it, right? I mean, he's got a disparity of over 5, I think, between goals and assists. So I mean, it's fairly close in terms of his production, and yet we traditionally think of him as a goal scorer. And you knew that it was only a matter of time, because as someone pointed out in the chat, and I agree with the sentiment, he was doing all the right things. He just wasn't scoring. He wasn't having the luck. The puck wasn't finding the back of the net like it normally does for him. But once it starts to, and now that Kyle Connor's up to 5 goals and 10 assists, well, Kyle Connor is suddenly, feeling good about himself, and the Jets are feeling good about themselves, because, it's late in the game. And as you said, Drew, It was a slog for the first 40 minutes. So you're sitting there thinking, the crowd, which is kind of thinking to themselves, and they're joking about it on the broadcast, well, it'll be maybe overtime. And Timo Solani had joked, when someone asked him what result he wanted, he goes, well, I'd like overtime and maybe a penalty shot to win it or something. But the truth is that suddenly the fans are just like, well, what's going on here? We're awake. It's 5:45 left in the third period. Jets have a 2-1 lead. It's time to kick it like it's the 1990s. Of course, that was short-lived.
It was very short-lived. I mean, 28 seconds. That's how long it was lived for. Trevor Zegras, his 8th of the year, assist to Adam Henrique and Cam Fowler. Zegras is a dynamite hockey player. I mean, I'm not telling anything anybody doesn't know there, but that is some ugly-looking defense from Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk on this one. Both, it looks like Morrissey gets caught up ice. Pionk is trying to recover for him, comes over to take away Henrique at the same time as Morrissey's coming back. They're both with Henrique, and nobody's touching Trevor Zegras, and that's a recipe for disaster, because Zegras one-on-one with Connor Hellebuyck, and Zegras was flying with some speed down the wing there, and he makes no mistake. He beats Hellebuyck top shelf, and just as soon as the Jets had tied the game, the Anaheim Ducks, as soon as the Jets take the lead, the Anaheim Ducks tie it right back up there with some just ugliness, and just sort of goes to our our thesis for tonight's game, that there wasn't a lot pretty about this for the Winnipeg Jets perspective. There's not a lot that you're going to look at the tape and you're going to like Kyle Connor. You're going to like a lot of what Mark Scheifele did. I think you're going to like Sam Gagner, how he fit in on that line. But aside from that, there's just not a lot here that you're going to say this is something we want to replicate, because had this been most any other team, the Jets may have been in a lot of trouble, because there were giveaways galore in all three periods of the game. There were some times where the Jets just, it seemed like they couldn't get the puck out of their own zone effectively. Just when it looks like they're going to have a clean breakout, it would get bottled up for whatever reason. There was just elements of ugliness throughout the game for the Jets, and this was another one that leads to Anaheim tying it up with 5 minutes and 17 seconds to go.
Well, I mean, I think if the Jets have one thing to look forward to, is you won't have to worry about rest and practice and rust anymore after tonight, because now it is 2-2-2 every second night.
Game. Yeah.
You've got a game, so there won't be a lot of that. I mean, I think they're off tomorrow, if I recall correctly what Rick Bowness had said. I don't think they're skating tomorrow, but the fact is that's going to be their reality. So the we don't like the rest and the rust and blah blah blah, not going to be a discussion point anymore. And yeah, look, Trevor Zegras is a phenomenal talent. Like, it is ridiculous what that kid can do. And yeah, you're right, Drew. 28 seconds after the Jets had taken what looked like the lead of the game, the Ducks say, well, we're not quite quack. We're not quite gone just yet. And it was a sloppy play by the Jets as a collective group, but a nice goal by the Ducks. And if you're Dallas Eakins and the coaching staff of Anaheim, you want to see your young guys punch back, and you want to see them not sag after they get give up a goal late in the third period. So I mean, not that you look for moral victories at the NHL level, but that is one for them, was that they punched the Jets right back in the mouth after giving up, a goal late in the third period. Funny with Dallas Eakins, I don't know if they showed it on the broadcast or not, but during the second period, when they were showing, they're showing the montage of Timu scoring his Mike Bossy breaking goal and tossing his glove in the air. And Dallas Eakins, of course, is the one who caught it, dropped it. Yeah. And so they showed Eakins on the bench. He got welcomed back on the Jumbotron, and then Eakins kind of went like this to symbolize like his inability to catch the glove. But again, there was a lot of nostalgia in the building, and that was one of those things that. And just quickly, I saw in the chat, and we'll about Kyle Connor should have done the Solani apparently. And I saw Murat, our friend Murat of the Athletic, mention it. Apparently, Kyle Connor in the postgame, which will be on illegalcurve.com in the postgame recap, he had said that he and Blake Wheeler had discussed the idea that if he scored a goal, I guess either a big goal or I don't remember the exact quote because I was trying to just tweet out to go to the show, but that had he scored something to that effect, that he would have tossed his glove up in the air and shot it down like Teemu Selanne. So that actually would have blown the roof off that arena. Like, it would have been insane if Kyle Connor do it.
If you'd won in overtime, you can do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can't showboat like that in the third period of a 1-goal game. I agree, but I'm saying, like, had that been like an overtime game and Kyle Connor does something like that, the place would have gone just ballistic. Like, it would have been amazing, and obviously it wouldn't have had the same symbolism as what Teemu Selanne did when he broke Mike Bossy's record, but it would have been a nice homage by Kyle Connor to Teemu Selanne with Teemu Selanne in the building.
Well, and I'll tell you what, if he had done that, the Anaheim Ducks would have found some chainsaws and tried chasing him around the ice.
You don't do that in a tie game or in regulation. I agree.
Yeah, I know that would have been you would have been hearing about that for the next week or so at the very least, and there would have been some revenge taken. The Ducks would have taken some liberties with Kyle Connor had he done that, because God forbid anyone have any personality or have any fun when it comes to playing in the NHL. Kyle Connor. I mean, you knew he was going to break out soon enough. It's taken him time, and tonight was that breakout game. His third, his hat trick. His fifth of the season, the game-winning goal, and it comes with 54 seconds to go. It's from Scheifele, it's from Pionk, and again, it's a low to high play, and he just is so adept at finding that soft ice, and the Ducks couldn't handle Connor and Scheifele tonight. I mean, you look at the possession numbers for Connor and Scheifele, and I had it up here on my screen a second ago. Look, in terms of possession, Kyle Connor 72% of the time. Sam Gagner 79%. Mark Scheifele 71%. Those are dominant numbers. Those are dominant numbers for guys, who are clearly controlling the play when they were on the ice. And that's, when you talk about tilting the ice, and that is them absolutely at their peak, tilting the ice. And if Sam Gagner can do that every game, he'll certainly fit in more than nicely as the replacement for Mason Appleton while Appleton's out of the lineup. But that's, talk about a huge game-winning goal, and that's what you got from Kyle Connor with, Scheifele getting his second point of the night. As well as Neil Pionk.
Sorry, Drew. I was about to start tweeting, and then I wasn't anticipating you were going to throw it to me there. But
okay, you don't need to tweet. Twitter's dead. Long live Mastodon.
It's not. It's still alive, and people are coming to the chat as a result of our tweeting. So that's why, if you want to tweet that the show is still rolling, you can go ahead and tweet, and I'll talk. It's all good. Okay. But regardless, I mean, 328 people in the chat. Loving seeing that. Loving everybody joining us after each and every single Jets game. Like I said, regardless of what happens on social media apps, folks, LegalCurve.com ain't going anywhere. And the Illegal Curve Hockey and the Legal Curve postgame shows, they'll always be, as long as YouTube doesn't die, as long as the internet doesn't die. And if they do, you can just come to Rumors or Boston Pizza, or just come watch us, and we'll just sit beside each other, and we'll have a chit chat and get a little microphone, and we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep whatever we can.
We are willing to come to your family dinners for the right price. We are willing to follow you around.
I show up at people's houses. I mean, I'm dropping off. Remember, I'm dropping off jerseys right now and in fact, I'm actually behind in that regard. I've dropped off. Les got his yesterday, but Frosty Winnipeg, you're getting yours tomorrow, I hope. I got about 2 or 3 that I have to deliver in the next couple of days. So don't worry, folks. You're going to be getting your jerseys. We'll be talking about the jerseys. Do you want to segue from what I just did, or
gas is going down in price? So I think you're okay.
That's all good. It's all good. I'm willing to make the sacrifices for the Illegal Curve chat because I love the Illegal Curve chat and I love talking to people who support us. So that's fantastic. Just remember, smash the like button. That's all you got to do. And if you can leave a comment on our Illegal Curve the podcast, tell people what you like about it. We always appreciate that on like iTunes, Spotify, yada yada. But anyways, getting to the goal. I mean, look, just a phenomenal piece of excitement for this Winnipeg Jets club, which, again, Drew, we talked about it. The first 40 minutes was a slog. It wasn't an exciting hockey game. But it's funny how, like, this kind of stuff goes away, right? And in the end, you ended up having people think, well, it's like everybody being in the building for Teemu Selänne's goal to break, Mike Boss's record. Everybody in Manitoba was in the building. Everybody remembers being there. Well, everyone will remember being a fantastic game. First hat trick of the season for the Winnipeg Jets. Hats getting tossed on the ice. Everybody's excited. And again, like, this is Kyle Connor's. It's amazing that he's actually only got 3 hat tricks in his career. I mean,
I thought that number was low also. I would have expected more, 5 or 6 over the number of years. Yeah, I just saw that. The last one since, what was it?
2019.
New Year's Eve 2019.
Yeah, against Colorado.
It's hard to believe he didn't have one last year getting all those goals.
I know. It's crazy. Really? It's amazing. But I like I said, I always keep that little thing handy. And it's funny. I was actually updating it anyways, because Mark Scheifele was the only one who had hat tricks last year. He had 2. And so I thought maybe he would have a third one. So I had it kind of set up, and then I just amended it to read Kyle Connor. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that's only his 3rd hat trick of his career. But regardless, it is the game-winning goal. And I think, if I recall correctly, I think that ties him with Blake Wheeler for the most game-winning goals, like behind Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele has 36, and I think Kyle Connor now has 35, which would tie him with Blake Wheeler for the second most, for the Winnipeg Jets 2.0. And quite a night. Sends everybody home happy. And the Jets, although the Jets were getting a little bit, they were trying to win. I can't remember the lady's name. They were trying to win her $100,000 because I think Adam Lowry, with the net empty, tried to feed Kyle Connor for his 4th of the night, which would have been good. But at the same time, you got to be a little careful because, you're getting a little too cute with a 1-goal game. Yeah. Got to be careful there.
Well, we saw what happened when you got a little too cute in a 1-goal game to the Seattle Kraken on Sunday night. They got a little cute with the punches and ended up with the Jets victory. But in any event, not the prettiest game, Not anything you're going to write home about, nothing you're going to put up in a museum, but it's a 3-2 victory for the Winnipeg Jets. They improve on the season now to an astounding 10-4-1. Good enough. They got a 700 points percentage. The goals against we've talked about, 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. Look, the record is what the record is. Are they going to play at that points percentage for the entirety of the season? I doubt it, but I've been wrong before and I've been wrong again. And tonight they'll take the 2 points and say, thank you very much. They'll say we have to be better on Saturday against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then, of course, you got the Carolina Hurricanes coming to town on Monday. Those are two, Carolina, they're 10-5-2. Pittsburgh, not quite as good, 7-7-3, but still, those are two decent teams. Remember last year, it was that loss at home to Pittsburgh that sort of was where the bottom fell out on the Winnipeg Jets. It was a midweek game against the Penguins. They'd come back from the road trip. I think they were 9-3-3 at that point in time. And then that was the loss to Pittsburgh that began to send them into the tailspin. Now, I don't think the Jets are going to go into a tailspin if they happen to lose on Saturday. I'm not saying that, folks. Don't put words in my mouth. But I'm saying that you never know when adversity is going to hit. Ask the St. Louis Blues. They're playing better hockey now. Ask a lot of the teams. Ask the Buffalo Sabres, losers of 7 in a row. You never want to be the team that is in one of those bad streaks, because then when you're in one of those bad streaks, it's all anyone can talk about. But tonight, they talk about Teemu Selanne, they talk about Teppo Numminen, they talk about Kyle Connor, and they talk about a Winnipeg Jets 3-2 victory on home ice to improve to 10-4-1 on the season. When we return, contest time. You've been waiting for it. The Illegal Curve unique code word of the day. The Twitter feed still works, folks, so you can still get entries using the Twitter feed. If you're saying, how do you enter the contest? I want to enter the contest. How do I enter them? In the show description here on our YouTube channel. Click the drop-down arrow in the show description. You'll see the link. If it's not there, go to our website. If you can't find it there for some reason, I know it's there, but if you can't find it there for some reason, go to our website, illegalcurve.com. It's all over the website. You can't miss it. Click the link, get your contest page up and running. We'll be back with the unique code word. We'll be back with the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We'll be back with more of Dave and myself, Drew Mandel, on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No
Yep.
way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. We are back. It's Thursday evening. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show talking about the Jets and the Anaheim Ducks. Jets victorious 3-2 Saturday morning. The Illegal Curve hockey show back here on this fine YouTube channel. A busy Saturday, of course. We got the Illegal Curve hockey show at 9 a.m. and then we got the post-game show just a little bit before 9 p.m. So a day filled with IC come Saturday. So rest up on your Friday in anticipation for your Saturday. Dave M, we got some contest stuff to go forward. I don't think I've seen anybody guess the unique code word.
They have not
for tonight's game yet. So
they have not. They a lot of people were on the right track. A lot of people, felt that they, with good reason that it would be Timu and Teppo related.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to throw you folks off a little bit. I wasn't going to just going to use letters.
No,
use numbers tricky as well. Little number, some numbers as well, folks. So
yes,
it was not going to be a simple one for the.
Before I posted, though, there was a question I saw in the chat about when you put in the unique code word, is it for tonight's giveaway? It's not for tonight's giveaway. No. It's for the next giveaway.
That's
so
right.
The code word for tonight's show will apply. Will give you entries, and of course, the entries keep building up. It's not like the entries are discarded after each
it's cumulative.
It's cumulative over the course of the entire month. They last for the month. So tonight's entries will be will apply for the next contest, which will of course be on Saturday. So continue, folks, to put in your unique code word. Here is the unique code word for tonight. Dave, you are you're the Finnish speaker in the crowd, so why don't you tell everyone what the unique code word is for today's IC contest?
Well, that's putting a lot of pressure on me, Drew. But Suomi, I don't know.
I think it's Suomi.
That's what I said. Suomi.
Oh, I thought you said Suomi.
No, I said Suomi. But
okay.
And then the number 13 and the number 27, of course, represent Timu and Teppo. So that is the unique. Oh, Elmer is telling us he's finished or she's finished, but they're hopefully I'm going to get an email. I often get emails from Finnish listeners or people who watch, and they'll tell me if my pronunciation is not. By the way, as a quick aside, I did like the fact that they let Saku Manalainen take the face off. I thought that was a nice touch as well. I mean, again, I think they really hit it out of the park for those little things. And I thought, what a thrill for him as a Finnish player who grew up, watching these guys and kind of idolizing guys like Teemu Selanne, maybe not necessarily Teppo Numminen because he's a forward, but and for him to be able to take the face off, I thought that was a nice move by the Winnipeg Jets. Whomever decided that, I'm sure it was the players or the coaching staff, but regardless of who made the decision, I thought that was a nice touch by them. And again, like I said, so that is the unique code word for the IC contest. And so enter that and you can have, I believe Alan said it's 13 entries for that one. Usually it's 10. I decided to make it, I wasn't going to give you 27 Sorry, Teppo, but 13 will be the number that you get for tonight's code word. So congratulations to all of you for entering, and maybe we should reveal the winner.
Well, we will do that in a second. Again, Suomi, Suomi. Got to say, read it. I got to read it out for the podcast listeners.
Yeah.
Suomi, Suomi, 1313 2727. Suomi 1327. That is the unique code for the IC contest. All caps, all one word. Before we reveal the winner, and this is of course leading up to tonight. Congratulations to Elmer Fudd. He didn't win, but I got a text from my dad who's watching the show, and Elmer Fudd, you're making my father laugh. So there you go. That is, he's a connoisseur of fine comedy. Let me tell you, Elmer Fudd. So congratulations on making my father laugh with your comments in the chat as you are bringing the heat. I'll tell you what, you made my dad laugh, Elmer Fudd. Whatever comment he found the funniest, you're the winner of the Tough Duck Duke. There you go. I'm going to give you something. Like I say, folks, you never know what it's going to be that's going to win you the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. But Elmer Fudd, you made my dad laugh. That's good enough for me. Send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs at ICDrew. And Elmer Fudd, we will send you out a toque courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck for making my father laugh. It's really that simple. You never know. That we have really no rules, no structure,
no standards, none
standards. It can be anything, so sometimes maybe we will be juvenile, and somebody's juvenile humor will make us laugh. But tonight it's Elmer Fudd. You're the winner of the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. So congratulations on that, Dave. The winner of the most recent merchandise contest, please.
I'm waiting for you to pull it up. I'm too lazy to do it myself.
Dun, dun,
Carrie
dun,
Sansom.
Carrie Sansom.
So congratulations, Carrie. We appreciate every one of your entries, and I mean that to everybody in the chat. So, and everybody listening on the podcast. And that's the beauty, is that there is no time limit. Like I said, if you don't get your entry in tonight, you can submit it, because as Drew said, first of all, we've got contests, we've got merch to give away for the entire season. So that's not an issue. But more importantly, you can, honestly, Rob knows. I hope Rob knows. Maybe he's just making a general statement, but regardless, there's going to be many more opportunities for all of you to win the merch from the IC contest, Jets jerseys, hats, to t-shirts, lots of authentic gear from Illegal Curve right now. And so you'll be able to enjoy that, throughout the course of the season. We'll be having many more giveaways. But you can't win unless you enter. So make sure you enter, get your name in. And like I said, if for people who have questions, go to the website, either in the pregame report or the morning papers. You'll see in the notes, in the pregame reports, I've got it towards the bottom, but there's always a enter here. If you click on that link, it'll bring you to the page, and it's a fairly simple procedure. You just have to enter your name, some your email, and then you can just do the things that it says you need to do, which is come to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, even though you don't have to do that, but I appreciate if you do that. And then a variety of other things that you can do, like retweet us or go to the website, illegalcurve.com. You gain entries, you win, and Carrie's going to walk away with a fancy Jets something, whether it's a jersey, a hat, t-shirt, we don't know. But I've been giving away jerseys of late, so probably a jersey.
There you go. You never know what Crazy Dave's merchandise emporium has pulled out of the merchandise making machine on any given night. Always appreciate everyone in the audience, even those who don't like my Tough Duck hardest hitting comment choices, like Doug. Doug didn't like it. I'm sorry, Doug. Maybe on Saturday you'll have the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, and you'll get the toque courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck. That's just how we roll at Illegal Curve. We're loose. We like to keep people on their toes. Just when you think you got the hardest hitting comment, well, we change the criteria. Our hardest hitting is in our eyes
estimation.
Only.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to say, like, we do need to mention, though, the Winnipeg Ice big win, 14 in a row, 19-1-0-0 on the season as they defeated Connor Bedard and his Regina Pats 9-5. We had our other photographer. So we had Alex James at the Jets game. We had Colby Spence at the Ice game. And I actually was worried about Colby because, you generally at the Jets game, 1, 2, 3, 4 goals. 5 goals, maybe 6, but he had to shoot, 14 goals in the course of that game. And I haven't heard from him yet, but I can only imagine the amount of shots he's got from the ice game. So kind of exciting for us that we have Colby and Alex shooting both games for Legal Curve and for our Instagram page, and obviously for legalcurve.com. But you've got to give the ice credit. I mean, they are creating just incredible amount of excitement in the WHL. They're running away right now, right? The Red Deer hadn't lost before they came. They were 15-0-0-0 before they came to Winnipeg. And then they sent them on a tailspin. They lost 2 to Winnipeg. I think they lost to Brandon. And they may have lost somewhere in, I don't remember who they lost to, Saskatoon or one of the Saskatchewan-based teams right after. So the Ice sent them on a bit of a tailspin. But the Ice are rolling. So, I mean, it's unfortunate for the Ice and the Jets. They're playing the games on the same night. The rematch with Regina goes Saturday night. So that's unfortunate in that regard. But hey, I might even try and take in a game next Tuesday night. I know there's no Moose game, no Jets game. Might be time for Dave M to take his talents to Wayne Fleming Arena and go check out a nice game. So there's a possibility I'll be there on Tuesday night.
There you go. Something to look forward to. The crowd will be chanting, Dave, Dave, Dave.
I hope not.
Dave. Yeah, I hope not either. That'd be really weird if they started chanting your name.
Unless there's a player named Dave on the ice. But
But I don't think there is in any event.
No.
Or maybe it's for you. People like to chant your name all the time. You never know when people on the street just see you and they start chanting Dave. In any event, thank you, folks, for joining us on this evening's Illegal Curve post-game show. A big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Ryan Niemiller in town this weekend. 2 shows tomorrow. You can check them out 7:30 and 10 o'clock. Both Saturday shows are pretty much completely sold out. So if you want to see Ryan Niemiller at Rumors this weekend, get your tickets quickly. RumorsComedyClub.com before they're all gone. Our friends at Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Reminder, we'll be back 9 a.m. on Saturday with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, and then the post-game show 9 p.m. on Saturday as well, give or take a couple minutes. A busy Saturday in store. Of course, we'll cheer on the Bombers. That's not till Sunday, so we can talk about that a little bit more come Saturday, and as we try and root for the home team in that instance. For Dave Minuk, I'm your host.
Drew, I don't know, Drew, quickly, sorry, I don't mean... People are asking for a Minuk Moose Minute, but we already did it there. We did it on Sunday after the Seattle game, so there's nothing to talk about.
We'll do it on. We'll do another one on Saturday. We'll do something on Saturday.
The Moose play tomorrow night, folks. So don't you worry. I will have plenty to talk about on Saturday's show.
There you go. Stand by for that, as Dave will not. Don't worry, he won't leave you hanging on your Minuk Moose minutes. You folks don't have to worry about that. Dave loves talking about the Moose, and we know you love hearing him talk about the Moose. We'll be back Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Until then, for Dave Minuk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We say good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.